It's Friday night at the Drum Corps International 2025 winter meetings. That means the instructors have joined us, the instructor caucuses have begun, and they've started talking about rules proposals that are on the table this year for the Rules Congress. John Turner is the judge administrator for the open class, and you've been facilitating these discussions with the instructors. As I understand it, there are still, 5 rules proposals that remain being considered.
So first up is allowing the use of an instrument that's outside of our current guidelines for instruments. For example, a harmonica, being allowed to use that one instrument at any point in your show with one player performing that instrument.
Okay, so a solo instrument for the duration of the season in that show.
Right, of your choice, right.
I know another proposal involves the size of the front ensemble, the size of the pit. Explain that.
Right, so over the years, pits have grown and grown in terms of the number of instruments and the amount of space they take up. Rather than creep back onto the field and take away space from the performers that normally populate the field performance area, the percussion folks are asking for us to extend that pit boundary another 5 feet.
5 feet closer to the crowd.
That's correct, yeah.
Right.
So we go from a 15-foot line, we have it today that's marked on the field, we'd go to a 20-foot line.
There was another proposal that I know has been withdrawn that would kind of, in a way, went hand in hand with that, and that was they wanted to take all of the judges completely off the field, not just confine them to the first 15 feet onto the field, but take them all the way off. That was withdrawn?
That one was withdrawn, and the concern there was we have cases where judges were going beyond the 6 foot onto the field limit that we've set for them to go. So what came out of the discussion is rather than push them another 20 feet off the field, let's just reinforce those guidelines and monitor that and make sure people aren't getting into unsafe places, because that's really the concern that drove the proposal.
I know one of the other proposals that's still being considered is the addition of a second percussion judge.
What's driven the concern and the conversation and the move to have P2 in the past is not the kind of commentary that the corps want. What came out of the conversation today was we really would be better served to continue to work on the training around that and make sure we're getting that commentary from that MA2 judge on the percussion side of things.
I know we've already talked about solo instrumentation. There is one other proposal that goes toward instrumentation, and that is, what is percussion? What is a drum?
Yeah.
And I guess we really don't delineate that in the rules right now, do we?
Well, we do, but there are limits. It says that it has to be a membrane instrument or certain kinds of instruments that, yes, we still use those, but there are many other instruments, and there are electronics and things that fit within the percussion genre that aren't called out in the manual as being allowed. But we're not penalizing anybody for those things, obviously. Everybody uses a lot of these instruments, so we're just saying, let's go clean up the language so that it matches what we do today in drum and bugle.
And the last thing is another, what to me would seem like a step back to the way things used to be. General effect right now, you have one visual general effect judge, or at least somebody who specializes in visual as a GE judge, and somebody who specializes in music as a general effect judge.
What we've done for the last 3 to 5 years with effect is move to an overall effect judging panel, and we use, just like with the MA1 and MA2, we use 2 GE judges at every contest, one being a visually oriented person, one being a music oriented person, and we ask them to have balanced commentary. Perhaps some music judges aren't as free to talk about the visual side or don't feel as comfortable. And that's what we're taking away is maybe a better approach would be to go back and revisit that training and address that gap.
Where do we go on Saturday? What's next?
We talked about the rules themselves in isolation, each one. We went through each one and discussed them and tried to get a feel from the room of what their opinion of it was. We'll pick it up again in the morning with a final discussion on the rules, and we'll do a vote. The votes that pass that by simple majority will go on with our recommendation from the instructor caucus that they discuss them and vote on them.
So just to be clear, what happens with the instructors tomorrow when they take their vote, they're actually voting on a recommendation then that will go to the voting membership?
That's correct. It's a toll gate to get to the voting membership for consideration and a final vote.